Hello and
Good
welcome to
morning,
Tennis Takeaways.
everybody.
How are you? My name's Duey Evans and I am here with Lisa Stone. We've been dealing
I'm
with a
good.
challenging,
Having all
yeah, it's been a technical challenge morning. I've gone from my role as being a tennis evangelist here in Austin to being a technical producer, putting together this live stream. And as with all things live and video, sometimes you just run into some glitches. So we're doing the best we can. But you look amazing as always, Lisa.
She's got a really long delay, Dewey.
Well, for whatever reason, there's a huge latency. So she's going to hear me at some point and start talking.
Thank you. I, we're on some kind of weird delay this morning, so I'm not even sure if you're hearing.
We are. I think the latency is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're going to make it work as best we
I
possibly
hear
can.
you, Dewey. I'm going to let you go ahead and talk, and I'm just going to sit here and smile.
Okay. Well, we do have we have a guest today on our show, and she is the founder. Well, she's Tennis Pal, and the home court part of it is an app that I think we need to know about, and I'm a little bit kind of blown away by all this going on with Lisa. Shawna, can you tell us about you and your app? And we'll get into it. I think we actually have the website loaded, so we'll be able to show your video as well as the site itself. But can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So, TennisPAL Home Court was founded by myself and Pam Shriver a few years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Pam and I were talking and really noticed that the biggest problem in our industry where we are is really tennis courts. There's so many people that want to play. There's so many coaches, but there's really nowhere to go. So we came up with this idea of Tennis Pal Home Court based on the business that I had been running for about 15 years prior. I own my own tennis academy here in Los Angeles, SBW Tennis Academy. So the concept behind that was I would have as many coaches at as many private home courts as we could use. And I built that up over 15 years to having at different times 5 to 10 private courts to use and 5 to 10 coaches under me. So we founded Home Court based on that, realizing that the best place for coaches to teach and make the most amount of money if they're a really good coach is on a private court. With that said, we noticed that most of the private courts in the area, in these affluent areas, there's tons of private home courts. None of them get used, so they're just sitting empty. So why not use them?
Okay, so I think Los Angeles may be a little bit different in that because of the weather and things, people have the courts to be able to use year round. Have you found, is this app exclusive to the LA area, or have you identified and have courts in all over the country or all over the world?
Yeah, yeah. So right now, so basically, just to give it a little easier picture, it's basically Airbnb for private home tennis courts, which only coaches can book. But yeah, so we started out in LA based on the courts that I had for my business. I traveled all around the last couple of years, speaking at a lot of events and trying to get coaches to kind of use their connections to help me get private courts with their clients. So right now we have courts in LA, some on the East Coast, Connecticut, the Hamptons, a few in Florida, down in Ohio in Mason, Indian Hill, where the tournament is, down there in Cincinnati. There's a lot of courts, and we're just trying to build. It's all about kind of building a network and getting these coaches that I meet to help me expand the network, because obviously I can't be everywhere talking to every homeowner with a court. And then also, there's a big contingency of courts starting to pop up in Melbourne.
Okay. So with COVID, a lot of places shut down. There were places where, the park and rec departments took down the nets, closed the gates. Was it an opportunity through your app for people to be able to, and some of the coaches to be able to continue working in a setting which was more sanitary because it wasn't a private place, and so you knew who the people were, the whole contact tracing thing, right? Somebody knows who's coming on and off their property. So did you find that most of the court owners were still amenable to having people teach on their courts, or, not so much?
Yeah, so it's interesting. COVID showed me a lot about this business, actually. It's here in LA, at least, tennis is out of control. I've never seen tennis at such a height. The only place to play is on private courts, and it's been that way for about 5 months now. The clubs are very, very limited, only letting 2 people on the court, or no doubles. There's so many rules, no clinics. Private courts have been completely out of control. I would say the homeowners are a bit split. A few homeowners, maybe some that are older, were a little bit weary. But I think that in the future, COVID is going to really help what we're doing here. I mean, it kind of caught me in a point of still database building with courts. So it was a little rough. I actually wish it had caught me a year later with way more courts, because I think everybody here is teaching on private courts right now. It's really changed the way tennis is working. There's a lot of benefits. Coaches are making a lot of money teaching on private courts, not having to share with tennis directors and clubs. I think when COVID is over, I think this is going to really be the way of the future. Homeowners that did allow people on their courts during this time are going to continue because they realize how easy it is and also lucrative on their end.
We have video keyed up. Do you mind? I think it's probably a good time to show the video.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to.
Hi, I'm Pam Shriver with Shawna Wilson of SBW Tennis Academy on My Home Court. We're here to introduce you to a new concept in the TennisPAL app called Home Court. Our mission is to connect certified pros to courts, putting unused home courts to better use to grow tennis in your community.
Here's how the app works. For the pro, sign up to be a TennisPAL Pro. Once you've signed up, it's really easy. You now have access to a map of local home court locations. Then you have your own business. Set your rates, run your own schedule, work with clients that you choose. For the client, you no longer need to join an expensive club, drive across town in traffic to get to your lesson, or play with a pro that you didn't choose. Now lessons are accessible locally with a coach of your choice.
Homeowners, if you have a court at your house that's not being used enough, here's your chance to put your home court to good use to promote this great lifetime sport, and to do it in the community that you've already chosen to live. List your home court and TennisPAL will pay you directly for every lesson taught, or you can donate to the named charity of your choice.
TennisPAL Home Court uses only insured certified tennis pros, and you choose the hours that you want to make your court available. TennisPAL Home Court will be launching this fall, but we're gathering home courts right now and adding them to a growing database.
Now we already have home courts in Southern California, New York, Florida, and Australia. It's growing fast, and we want you to be a part of growing our sport. Here's how to do it.
So it sounds like the biggest challenge for you at the moment is growing that database. So you have more demand than what there is supply at this point in time. What
Absolutely.
What's the revenue split look like for a homeowner if somebody wanted to be doing this?
Yeah, so, we're trying to make it a bit of a sliding scale based on, prices in the area. Obviously prices here in Los Angeles are a little bit different than prices in Ohio. But I would say on average, it's about $15 an hour, 15 to 20 to the homeowner and 5 to the app. And the pro gets paid whatever they set their rate at.
So is the homeowner set a set fee, or is it a percentage of what the pro does? So would I be wanting someone who's teaching a lesson for $150 an hour rather than the guy that's trying to teach a lot of $30 an hour lessons?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're using basically a set fee that kind of is in increments of $5. I just think it's too complicated. People are going to charge what they want. And then there's somebody running a clinic of, 4 to 6 people that's making, $200 to $300 an hour. So it's a little bit complicated. So I just think leaving it kind of a set price is the best way to go. But I know that it's not a huge significant amount of money to the homeowner, but the truth is chances are they weren't using the court at all. So to let somebody teach the neighbor kids on their court, and they can also choose, if they're going to make $1,000 a month, they can donate the $1,000 a month to charity every month if they want the charity of their choice, and take the write-off and not write the check. And they're really doing good for the community.
What's the vetting process of the pros? So, because I'm guessing that most of the homeowners don't know these pros ahead of time, right? So it's a place to go and find a court to be able to book it. What kind of background checks or security check type things do the pros go through?
Yeah, so all pros need to be certified by one organization for insurance reasons, and just so we know that they are, a good pro. And then they have to sign up to be a TennisPAL pro, and actually myself and one other person on the team will look and just kind of do references and background check and make sure they're a reputable pro.
And roughly how many courts are available at any given period of time? If you're in the Los Angeles, are there 100 courts that are potentially available, or thousands or tens?
I would love to say that I have thousands, even hundreds. I think that right now we probably have about 20. With a lot of inquiries, I think people, when COVID is over, I think it's going to be a great time for the database to just explode. But yeah, I think that in order for a new city to be involved in the app, I think really having 10 to 20 courts is the magic number just to get it going. So when pros actually go on to look for a court, that there's actually courts there for them to help their business.
I think this is one of the greatest ideas that has come along in a long time, that finding a way to get, match up an overabundance of supply with a demand that has been pent up is really what economics is all about, right? And the experience of teaching on a private court, of taking a lesson on a private court where it's probably a little bit nicer, people take care of the weeds by the side of the court. I'm sure some of those locations are probably pretty picturesque in people's backyards. I think that it's a great opportunity, and I think we have up now that this is the best way to reach you. Are there any other ways that people can find out more about TennisPAL.com home court that you'd like to share, or anything that you'd like to share that we haven't talked about?
Basically, like you said earlier, I think that the hardest part about this is really building this database. So I just like to say, if anybody knows people with private courts or they're already teaching on private courts, I'd love to hear from you. I work a lot with the WTCA, Women's Tennis Coaching Association, and I've met a lot of great pros through that and through their events, and a lot of them have really helped me to meet homeowners that have courts, but anybody that has already a built-in database of clients that might have courts or might know people with courts, I'd love to hear from you.
Good. Well, thank you, and I appreciate the fact that you gave a little plug to women's tennis coaching, that there are, an equal number of females playing the game and not an equal number of women teaching the game and mentoring young ladies through that whole process. I know that the female coaches that I've been involved with have come in handy at some of those times as girls kind of go through adolescence and have some unique perspectives on what it is to coach a girl. Having 3 daughters of my own, I would have loved for them to have had female coaches. I managed to have a couple of female hitting partners for them, but we didn't have, access to a lot of real high quality women's coaches. So I appreciate you for running that program, not the women's tennis coaching, but for you to running your academy, and for plugging the Women's Tennis Coaching Association. And that's an international group, correct?
It is. It's run by Sarah Stone, who's a legend in her own right.
And
great organization.
So if you have a girl, or, how sexist is that of me? And before we went into technology, we were talking about the whole social thing going on in the world, and the United States, and how it relates. And I'm saying, well, if you have a girl, get a woman coach. But there is absolutely nothing to say that having a high level, any level guy wouldn't benefit from having a female coach. So I apologize
Absolutely.
for my little slip right there, and I'm trying to get better and catch myself. And thank you for your time. I'm sorry that we didn't get Lisa in on the conversation today. She has great insight into such things, and I'm sure as a parent and as someone who speaks to people all the time, she undoubtedly has some really great insights as to how this resource would be available anywhere. Wherever you find this, if you find us on Facebook or YouTube or whatever, and you want to reach out to us, you can reach Lisa by sending her an email at lisa@parentingaces.com, or you can reach me at deweyevans@gmail.com. And we are always looking for feedback, looking for your questions. And Lisa, you're there. I don't know if you're, how close to real time you are right now, but it's been another it's been an interesting week, a week like none other. I'm going to go on delay for a second and let you say goodbye while I just sit here.
I think it's like a minute.
Well, I have no idea what the delay is. I'm talking, but I'm not seeing myself talk on camera. So anyway, I apologize that I couldn't participate today, and thanks for taking the lead, Dewey. Thanks for joining us, and I have a whole list of questions that I wanted to ask, but
And she went, and then she came back. Well, that's going to be it for today. Tennis Takeaways. We'll be here next week, and we'll have these bugs worked out. But welcome to the world of live video. Till then, for Lisa Stone, I'm Dewey Evans. We'll see you soon.